What's up, guys? Welcome back. Thank you to those of you who got access to the previous soundtrack. If you haven't checked it out yet, I put it in the playlist. Go and check it out, please. And it in lines with that soundtrack talking about energy. It was about energy shot. When we're trying to build our lives or rebuild our lives, I think a lot of us going through that, at least during the COVID, it's important to be extremely mindful of the energy within us and around us, because these waves of energies, whether they are created by humans around us or whether they are created by ourselves or by the news, they could be very daunting and very controlling of our already existing frequencies. There are certain type of brain waves that are easier to detect because they are much stronger than other type of brain waves. When a person is in a highly negative type of state, let's say one pretty strong state is a state of being angry, or let's say also hatred, those who really hate, especially if it's under a long period of time. Those type of brain waves can be detected much stronger there, because they're much stronger than, let's say, a person who's in peace, or who doesn't hate as much, if you will. At the same time, the frequencies and the brain waves of hatred, because they are stronger, they can also last longer. And by the same token, they are more overwhelming when it comes to, in comparison to other type of brain waves that are a little bit softer. And what happens is that when we are either physically close to, let's say, a person who hates, some people call them haters, or let's say they are fake people, maybe they're jealous or envious, either if we're there with them physically or if we're thinking about them, we are susceptible to their brain waves. Being susceptible to the brain waves or the frequencies of hate, envy, or anger could potentially have very high and destructive type of ramification in our lives, whether we think about it or not. But if we let it, it will alter. Sometimes it even shows at a physical level. We might feel sometimes pain, but also sometimes discomfort, depending how sensitive you are. So it not only affects your brain waves at an invisible level, but it also affects your physical body. And that is where the ramification can come in. The brain frequency of a person who hates, a person who is a hater, or a person who is angry at other people, especially if they are doing it on the long period of time, it is a very strong yet stagnant type of brain waves that they are emanating, whether they know it or not, at a constant level. And because of that, when they come in contact with other people, either by proximity, meaning to say they're close to them, or they are strong enough that people keep thinking about them, their frequencies affect the person who is thinking about them. So the way that brain frequency affects is that it just overwhelms that person that they are impacting, and that's not good. And because of that, for example, if you have noticed, which I'm sure you have, people who hate, or those haters, or those who are angry, they're usually more hurt than those who are not. Although they may or may not have the right opinion, or they may or may not tell the truth. It really doesn't matter, because their energy is so overwhelming that it encompasses everything else. And because of that, they are remembered more. They are essentially a better, for lack of a better word, a better influencers than, for example, those who have not. And that's mainly because of their energies. The energies is very overwhelming. And that's why, for example, we remember those who hate more than the ones who don't hate. Now, the good news is that the control is always up to each and every one of us, because we are able to control the way in which we may be impacted by these hate or angry brainwaves of these people who are being so influential, because they're basically using the highest, most energetic and most aggressive type of brainwaves. The disclaimer, though, is that we need to be aware of it. So it really helps when we are alert enough to know when we are being influenced by these hate brainwaves and when we are not, and how to sort of shake it off. And the reason we want to shake off those waves that comes towards us, and we want to shake it off so that we don't absorb it, is that the destructive influence that they potentially may have in your life should be enough of a motivation to want to stop those waves that come at you. And again, they only come at you if you let them. So if you think about them, they come at you. If you're physically close to them, they come at you. But in both situations, there is a way to shake it off. The worst thing that we could do is to try to sort of fight back with more of a hatred of a frequency. But the best way is to improve and empower more of the loving frequencies that we have. And this love should be geared towards ourselves. So what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to go and love those people who hate you, but the self-love that you cultivate on a daily basis, hopefully, will eventually be enough powerful so that it overwhelms the frequencies of the hate. But the haters' frequencies, as long as we are not strong within ourselves, and the self-love and self-confidence that we have doesn't emanate enough of those frequencies that we want to create for ourselves, it will always trump the other type of frequencies, just because they are by nature much aggressive and much more influential. So they don't need a lot of work to be aggressive. Another way that they get power is that the more we pay attention to them, the more we talk about them, the more we think about them, the more we give them airtime in here, the more they will then influence our lives. Another thing that they do, that, by the way, this is the part that I really hate, is that they bring out the worst in us, unfortunately. So the moment we let these hatred brain waves impact our lives, not only does it influence our decisions and the way in which we live in a negative way, but it also brings the worst in us, just because that type of a brain frequency, they always seek the same type of brain waves that they are in. So that's why being exposed to the hatred brain waves in a long period of time will also eventually bring the hate frequencies and brain waves within us. So then we start to either hate them, hate ourselves, or hate everybody else, really depending on your situation, which also will have the worst ramification. That's why sometimes we hear people say, oh, he or she brings the worst in me. That's mainly because they are emanating, and they're really, really good at emanating the type of hatred brainwaves that then seek the same type of brainwaves within us, and then the worst of us comes out. But being aware of this and trying to also stop it and shake it off in our lives actually needs bravery, because a lot of times we are exposed to people or situation that are there's like a lot of jealousy involved, or envy or hate and whatnot, and being able to actually get up, being strong enough, get up and leave, or shake it off, or bring out the self-love within us so that we can shake it off that way, is actually very brave, because it's not easy. And a lot of times we have formed these habits to do the same thing over and over again, or be polite, or not walk away, or be okay with everything. And so, or on the contrary, we've learned to kind of hate and push back in a hated way. So it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's doable. It just needs a little bit extra care. And I personally have experienced it, obviously, like everybody else, from time to time. And when that happens, most of the time I feel like I want to still go with the status quo, but my body and my energy is telling me differently. And so in those moments, I really have to kind of be brave enough to be more honest with myself, and be brave enough to make those decisions, to either walk away or do something about the situation, or maybe having a conversation around it, or just, just sort of make sure that I am not doing the disservice towards myself to kind of put myself and remain in that situation. And sometimes I do that because I think it's just you just want to be polite, or you're too afraid of speaking up, or you feel like you would be a weirdo if you actually got up and left, or you would be a weirdo to make other decisions, to not sort of be in that environment anymore. But sometimes the situation happens such that you really cannot not do anything about it, and in those cases you do something about it. But definitely the physical discomfort that we feel, maybe we feel negative, maybe we get pain in our different parts of our body and whatnot, and those are great indicator that something is wrong and that we need to do something about the energies that is surrounding us. And again, the energies are surrounding us not at a physical level, but at a thought level as well. So to sum it all up, definitely it pays off to be extremely careful and mindful about the type of brain waves that we let ourselves absorb. And a lot of it has to do with our environment, but a lot of it has to do with also the way we think. And me personally, I never blame the haters. I never blame those people, because all they are is not to be who they are. A person who hates usually is not a happy person within themselves, with who they are, or maybe they are angry about the environment or the governors or politics and whatnot. But again, they really feel out of control. So it's again the lack of love. And so for others to wanting to fix it at their level, it's almost impossible, because everybody is basically responsible for their own brain frequencies and cellular frequencies and EMFs in general. So that's why most of the time, if not all the time, there is nothing good will come out of hating back or trying to have normal conversation. It just doesn't. And so the main loyalty should be for us to be loyal towards ourselves. And we can only do that by feeding this positive and this, I shouldn't say only positive, these sort of peaceful and good type of frequencies more. Because the more we feed these, let's say, good vibes, let's just call them that, the stronger they become. And we need more of that in this world because we already have too many, let's call them bad vibes, if you will, just for the sake of conversation. And that's why it becomes even more important how we react towards, for example, a hater. And I've been doing that a lot lately because it's just something that shows up from time to time in my environment as well. And so it's really important to be on the watch out for that. And that's all I had for today. Hope you found it helpful. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Check out the playlist also if you like, because that will also help to gauge some of the brain frequencies that you're emanating.